Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Between Two Brokers. Today we have John Frick from Level Building Projects. John has been on the show before and is a local celebrity in town. And we are here to catch up about all things real estate and construction and why the hell are you still doing it?
Mm-hmm. That's a damn good question.
It's probably been 2 years since we've had you on the podcast, and I'm not sure much has changed except you're probably just much busier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our business has grown substantially since 2020. And I don't know what that's due to, but I guess the influx of people, like COVID seemed to send a lot of people in a frenzy coming to Charleston. Even though it was growing quickly already, it was like just chaos.
For sure.
And
I would
still
like to
is.
throw in the hat that your appearance on our first podcast gave you a big boost.
Well, that was it. I mean, the phone, as soon as it aired, like the phone did not stop ringing.
I'm sure.
Okay, well, so that brings up a good point. So, the people that are building with you now, they're transplants that have moved here post-COVID mostly?
A lot of them are. I think you ladies know this because you've now sold one of my houses twice in Kiwa River.
Yes, they're very easy to sell, John.
Yeah, thank you. Kiwa River, I would say, is more of a transplant client base. But like our Sullivan's IOP, Mount Pleasant, more of those are local people, maybe either, renovating because interest rates are crazy and their family's growing, but they can't do what they want to do on a new house. So doing large scale renovations. We do a lot of teardowns in Mount Pleasant just because there's not great dirt in the zip code that people want to be in. I was pulling a permit. I'm trying to think what project this was for, but anyways, I needed to pay a tap fee for a water meter, and I hadn't done that in a long time because everything's a tear down, and there is no tap fee.
Mm-hmm. I think when we tore our house down in 2015, I want to say that the tear down and dumpster fee was about $22,000.
Yeah.
What's that cost today?
In Mount Pleasant, we did the donation thing where they came and took usable stuff from your house, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm really not involved in the demo process much more these days because most people are getting what's the
Carolina House Movers?
Yeah, no, it's Sustainable Warehouse. Oh. But you get a tax benefit if you have this company come in and they take all the salvageable stuff and, I don't know if they resell it. I don't 100% understand the process, but I know it's beneficial for people on a tax side and hopefully it's beneficial for people down the road too. But, so we're not typically doing the demo, but I want to say $30,000.
Okay, so it hadn't gone up that much.
It hadn't gone up that much. I mean,
dumpsters are expensive, though.
Dumpsters are expensive. I mean, our dumpsters, when we built your house, were probably in the $350 average range, and they're probably $600 to $650 average range now. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think, how long have y'all been in your house? This got to be going on 7 years.
We moved in July of 16.
Okay. So, yeah.
7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. We were probably still building things in the 200s a square foot then, right? Yeah. I can't remember what y'all's deal was.
I want to say it was like 250.
Yeah. And, I would say even a few years past that, it's still the upper twos. And I'm talking myself out of future business to people that are listening, but it's pretty rare that we're under $500 a square foot anymore. And that's just wild to me.
But do you consider yourself a luxury builder?
I would like to think we're a versatile builder. We've got some really high-end projects that we do. Like I feel like we can do anything. I would love for every project that comes across my desk to be a $800 plus a foot project, but that's not the way the cookie crumbles. But we're versatile, and if somebody comes to us with we'll call it a $450 a foot budget. Maybe I can't hit that, but I can figure out ways to get close to it and still have a really nice product. It's just, look, my mind's blown too. Every time I put together a proposal, like, it's like, wow, this is really where we are. And like, it's been here. It's definitely planed off. You know, we'll go back to the COVID conversation. I'm kind of tired of talking about that, but through that time, like in 2020, it was crazy, the jump from bid to bid, like how much it was just like almost reckless, like how quickly it was going up, whether it was window manufacturers, appliances, you know, labor shortage, like everything was just jumping, and it changed every 30 days.
Did anything come back down, or did it jump and stay stuck?
Some of our labor has come back down. I think drywall has come back down some. Lumber has definitely come back down. But like the manufactured stuff, metals, windows and doors, appliances, again, they haven't. And in fact, we still get our normal annual increases on those type of items. So people hadn't stopped buying it yet. You know, why are they going to stop increasing their prices until they see a problem with their books?
Yep,
they're going to keep doing the same thing.
Yep.
Real estate agents, you need to be telling your clients how much it costs to build a house. And it
needs to be realistic.
It needs to be realistic, because I will tell you, I just helped some clients buy a house in Old Mount Pleasant, and they made a friend, and they kept telling me that he said it was $275 to $300 to build a new construction house. And I was like, give me his telephone number. I mean, and they kept saying it over and over again. And I said, guys, I'm 100% sure you're not going to build a house for that. Now, what we've seen in Mount Pleasant, especially in like Old Mount Pleasant, is people would buy a house and then it would come back on the market a year later. And I'm sure that's why, is they had no idea how much it actually was going to cost them to either renovate or build. And then they put it back on the market, which shame on the real estate agents for allowing that to happen. That's ridiculous.
Well, the other piece of the puzzle is you have to have somewhere to live while this is going on. So not only are you paying these high prices to build or renovate, but you're also paying extremely high rent or mortgage on wherever you're going to stay while this is happening.
100%. And it's, I've seen it happen with potential clients of mine that they just didn't realize what they were getting into, and somebody had told them something unrealistic. And I don't want to discredit any builders that can and have found ways to build cheaper than me. Like, we have our processes that work really well for us and our clients. But, you know, there probably are some guys that are putting out a great product in the 300s a foot. I don't know how to do that to get the product that I think is quality, but you know, I'm not the end all be all on it. So I would just be careful with the information you're passing along, because you're already paying elevated, you know, real estate prices, and you know, there's big transaction fees that come with those deals. And you know, you can't, like, let's say it costs, what, on $1 million property, you're going to have $60,000 in transaction fees basically. So now you got to sell that thing for $1,060,000 to break even.
People that are coming to you, and the renovations, I'm a little bit curious about, because we actually had Bill Payne on not too long ago, and they were talking about in Old Village and Old Mount Pleasant, like a lot of people tearing down versus renovating. The people that are renovating, is it like strictly budget that is preventing them from tearing down? Because tearing down is essentially the ideal, right?
Yeah. I've had some clients that I wish would have torn down, and I think I tried to persuade them to, and by the time we got to a certain point in the project, they wished that they'd have taken that advice. But the projects turned out incredible, but yeah, they touched new construction prices, and maybe their master bedroom would have been 2 feet bigger.
Right.
You know? So ask me, what was the...
Well, yeah, I mean, the people that are coming to you and you're doing the renovation project, my question is, like, is new construction, tearing down a building, an option that you're considering? And so you're pricing out the renovation and you're pricing out the build.
Well, a lot of our renovation is historic stuff that we can't tear down. But, yeah, I think, you know, people might have been living in their house for a while too, and don't want to tear it down.
Yeah.
But a lot of these houses, we've done some big renovations in Creekside lately, and those houses had great bones. Like, there was good structure there, and to just completely knock it down, it wouldn't have been as cost effective as what we did. I mean, the renovation budgets were still big budgets, but to get, I can't remember the square footage of the one we're finishing now, but to match that square footage new construction would have been a substantial difference.
Right. So what are the things that people are doing in their homes now that has changed over the last 3 or 4 years? What are some of the things that people are coming to you with in terms of design that you're seeing pretty commonly in homes?
Well, I feel like people are getting tired of European white oak with Loba invisible finish on the floors.
I guess it's time to change.
Yeah. That's come up a couple times recently.
Wait, and so what are they picking instead?
Still white oak, but they want more character. So the European white oak is very clean. It's you're getting very consistent graining, but not a lot of knots. People, I'm looking at your floors, you've got a little more character in your floors. I think people are trending back that way, in my experience. I'm trying to think we're doing more plaster.
Like? Oh, yeah.
Why?
Plaster seems to be coming in. Why?
Mm-hmm. Why would someone go with plaster?
Well, one of the things, so we've done a lot of smooth stucco in the past, and stucco does not touch up very well. Like plaster, you can actually repair, if there's a crack or anything like that.
So you're talking about exterior?
Interior. Like on a fireplace.
Oh, stucco inside. I see. Okay.
I've already got cracks. I don't know what I'm going to do with.
Yeah, so stucco over wood framing, that, it's going to move some, it's going to crack, and it's really hard to repair and make it look good. With plaster, you can.
Too bad I didn't have you do this fireplace.
I know, man.
Well, I saw you when we were still recording the other episode, and you got here. You were checking out the shoe molding over there. Everything okay?
I would have done a few things differently, but no. I mean, it looks great in here. You did a good job. I'm always going to look around and make my own judgment.
But so talk about the way your business has changed. So you've had to take on much more business. So who have you had to hire? Who's working in your company? Are there new systems that you have? Or is it literally somebody wants to build a house with you, they call you? What does that look like?
The business has grown with, the amount of volume that we're doing now. We've got 3 full-time project managers.
Damn, John.
Yeah. And Cannon, my business partner, who I know you guys know, he's been with me for, I think, over 10 years now. But he still manages projects, and I'm technically still managing projects too, because there's just so many good opportunities out there. I don't know how long it's going to last. So we're burning the candle at both ends, but happy to obviously have the business. But so 3 full-time project managers, me and Cannon, business owners, and then we've got Canette, who handles the important side of the business, which is the bookkeeping and the money. And she's also been building some software for us for a client portal that I am not computer savvy, so I'm not going to describe this properly, but it's a good way. We have built-in schedules, and it's a good way for us to have checklists to say that's done and finished. We don't need to worry about it anymore. And it's also a good place for our clients to go check in on things and say, oh crap, I was supposed to have my plumbing valves picked out by next Friday. I better get on that. Mm-hmm. So it kind of, and it's a place we can upload pictures. We've got all of our selections uploaded there once they're complete. So it's basically
everything in one place.
Everything in one place. And the clients have access to everything. So that's been a new thing that I think has been very beneficial on some projects, but I've found we thought it was very important. We actually lost a few projects that we really wanted because we didn't have a system like that. Mm-hmm. And so it was a big focus of ours to get it. And now looking back, I'm like, man, was it the portal that we didn't have, or were we just not the right fit? Because half of our clients that were like, we have the portal, they're like, all right, cool, I'm not really interested in it.
Right.
And I'm like, we just invested a lot of money in this. What?
I know. I mean, it's like for us with clients, sometimes clients will say that there's something about the house that they don't like, and I know that it's the price, I mean, that's always what it is. But sometimes I think people will tell you something different for whatever. They make an excuse.
Yeah, 100%. And we're not for everybody, and that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
So I know last time we had you on, you said you were, I want to say 100% of the homes that you were building and had built for a while were white with a metal roof, and you were getting real sick of that.
We're still doing it.
That hasn't changed.
No one's getting sick of it except John.
Yeah, we just painted one that we're building on Sullivan's Island with one of our big architecture partners, Phil Clark. We're building his personal house right now.
Nice.
And he went with a Charleston gray color, which it's not really gray. I feel like it's got more brown in it, but it looks really good, and I'm excited about that.
Well, that's a testament to your company that Phil Clark chose you.
Yeah, I would say maybe he's not as smart as we think he is. I'm just kidding. No, I thought so too, man. I love working with Phil, and he's our go-to guy. We're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because we have such a lack of raw land, let's talk about the timeline if someone closes on a teardown from closing day to move-in day. And I know, circumstances change, but generally permitting, tearing down, plans, building, finishing.
The planning part is the challenging part that I don't have much control over. I feel like when I'm in these meetings with the architects, they're saying, unless this is, there's different caliber of homes and designs, obviously. Like some homes take a year to design. But I would say our typical home, I feel like the design phase is going to be about 6 months. And then once, I've got something I can turn in for permitting, most municipalities are 6 to 8 weeks on a permit. And then once I have the permit, I would say our average build time is 12 to 14 months, depending on the project. Some of the houses are a little more straightforward. We're going to finish those in 12 months, and some of them are, have a little more detail or whatever it is that take a little bit longer.
I remember when you built our house, you were pretty spot on your time estimating, and I do feel that two things that buyers are not realistic about is price and timeline, especially for renovations.
Yeah.
So 12 to 14, are you still pretty spot on with your estimating?
I think so. Yeah. That's something about me that I tell all my clients, and it's, they're meeting me for the first time typically, but I'm like, I'm honest, and I'm not going to tell you because I know you want to hear that this is going to take 10 months when I know it's not going to. And maybe someone is willing to say, or maybe they even believe that they can do it in 10 months, but then it doesn't do anybody any favors. So I try to be realistic up front with the budget and the timeline. And that's not to say that I haven't made a mistake. I've made plenty of them, and there's been plenty of challenges that have made things be delayed. And sometimes it's something I could head off, and sometimes it's something out of our control. But I think for the most part, I feel very confident in that timeline. Mm-hmm. And our budgets too. Our clients have a lot of control over a large part of their budgets, but I don't feel like we're having to have these conversations where it's like, oh my God, guys, we missed this. Like, I feel terrible, but we've got to have this conversation. We can figure out how we're going to handle it. I don't feel like those are conversations that I have to have very often, but it's happened.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there is any neighborhood or area of town that still has kind of a undiscovered value? Oak
Haven, I hope. I
That's
bought.
where John lives.
No, I don't.
You live in
I live
daylight,
right down
daybreak.
from Daybreak. I live right down
Daybreak.
from
Yeah.
Daybreak. But I just I bought a house in there a couple months ago to flip.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you about specs and flips.
So our spec, we're only doing spec in Kiwa River now. I mean, y'all know. I mean, Erin, you brought us a great deal that ultimately we didn't build, but we made some money on the dirt. You know, our model used to be kind of not trying to compete with the masses, but we would try and find a special piece of property, and you know, maybe it was an expensive piece of property, but we had a good investment group, and it kind of set itself apart. So it was risky, but you know, it was a special piece of property. So that was our model, and then we got involved with Kiwa River, and that's just taken our resources for spec, and it's been good for us. So no reason to really leave there. The dollar value is not what we were doing on an individual spec before, and maybe we were just fortunate on that, but it's been good for us in Kiwa River with the spec market.
What sold you on Kiwa River, and what gave you pause about it?
What sold me, I've known that property for a long time. One of my partners, their family owned Mullet Hall for, I don't know, 20 years. They were going to develop it, I believe, in the early 2000s, and then the recession came and kind of set things back. So I was always familiar with the property, and then because he's one of my partners, and I'm not going to say his name, I don't know if it matters, but we were able to get in on the front end and kind of solidify our partnership with them early on. So I would say the biggest thing that worried me about it is just we weren't really doing any work out that far.
Yeah.
But there really is a big difference in Kiwa River and Kiwa proper. Like it's another, if you're building out on it, Ocean Course, that's another half hour, you know? So it's been really good for us. And you know, the other appealing thing was like, it was 10 to 15 years worth of work. You just needed to get your foot in the door and do a good job, and off to the races.
Like everybody did on Daniel Island.
Yeah.
So how many specs do you have going out there now?
We just closed on one on Monday, actually, and just started another one. So with us, you know, kind of being on the upper end, we're looking for those special Kiwa River lots. The phases that we're in right now don't really have those available. So we're only doing one right now. We just started it a couple of weeks ago. Just we're trying to compete with some of the, what's the right word here? It's not the same thing that we do. It's an interior lot. Maybe some of the finishes aren't as high level as we're used to. So we're kind of testing those waters before we bite off more than we want to chew.
But your specs there are what, 3 million?
Just under. Yeah. I would say 2.5 to 3 has been our market out there.
When you are doing a spec, how are you involved in the decision about what to build?
Find the best lot we can find, obviously, and then you know, with our prior spec, non-Kiwa River spec, we were always wanting to build the biggest house we could build, and that's not the Kiwa River market. You know, they've got a sweet spot out there. A lot of these are second homes, so people don't want a 5,000 square foot house. They want 32 to 3,600 square feet, and in some cases 25 to 2,800 square feet. So, you know, I think that's the main thing is like if we're interior lot, we're probably more in the upper 2,000 square foot. And then we're kind of letting Phil, or we've been working with David Fisher a lot with Thomas and Denziger out there. We're having to work around a lot of trees. We let them take it. You know, we're like, we need 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. This is the lot. Show us what you got.
Wow.
Who's doing the finish selection?
It's been a bunch of different folks. You know, we had an in-house selections coordinator for a while that ultimately didn't work out. No hard feelings, just wasn't the right fit. And then Mary Welch who I think y'all are familiar with, has done a bunch with us out there. Wendy Morrow has done a bunch with us out there. I don't know if y'all know her or not. She's great.
Can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many options now. I mean, it's just like endless options.
There
for
are.
tile
Yeah.
and
Well,
paint
and I have to say, because I resold 2 of John's spec properties on the resale market, and I had them both listed at the same time. And one had, it seemed to have significantly more design and kind of personal touches in it, like dog wallpaper in the laundry room and stuff like that. And showing both of them, like normally I would say for a spec, like don't personalize it, like easy, easy on color, easy on wallpaper and stuff like that. That appealed to every buyer more than the one that was more plain vanilla. And that really surprised me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to remember so those folks, they bought it before we wrapped. I'm trying to remember if the dog wallpaper was something that they added.
Doesn't seem like one of your touches, dog
well,
wallpaper.
It could
Everyone
be.
loved
So
it.
the 2 houses that you resold were when we had our in-house selections designer. Yeah. And she did a great job, and she was really good on budgets too. I think she just needed to go be a mom more than she needed to be working at the time.
Yeah.
So that it was totally understandable. But yeah, we gave her some freedom, and we told her to be funky on 2134, and I think it actually turned a lot of people off. In fact, I think we're ripping one of the bathrooms out right now with the new buyer. But it's funny. Someone sent me a design portfolio that they wanted me to review so that we could hopefully work together one day. And that tile that turned a lot of people off was in that portfolio, and we ripped it out 2 weeks ago. So more than 2 people liked it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing random stuff in houses now, like much larger laundry rooms than seems necessary. But I don't have 4 kids. You can tell me how that is.
Well, a 10,000 square foot house isn't big enough, No, I'm kidding. I think our house is right at 4,000, and we've got space that we don't even use in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Phil calls it the scullery, butler's pantry, whatever. That's definitely in every house.
Yep.
And that's actually probably one of my favorite features of our personal house. It gets used the most.
It's my favorite room in my house.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone ends up when we have a party.
Yeah, 100%. That's where the booze is.
Yeah. It's like also where my giant jar of oatmeal is. And I don't know, people end up talking about your grocery shopping. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But I remember also seeing a big trend to look out for was going to be something built on the front porch where, Amazon and UPS could leave your packages. And I have never come across one when showing a house yet.
We hadn't done that yet either. I will say I'm looking at Stacy's front door right now. We are seeing a lot of like big open glass front doors where, people used to maybe not want people to be able to see in their house just right off the rip. Mm-hmm. Is yours a pivot door?
No.
We're doing a lot of pivot doors with like the big handle pulls.
Glass is a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And very expensive here.
The big picture windows that go to the floor.
Mm-hmm. Haven Loop had tons of glass.
Yeah, and people still want the big stacking or folding doors, which it like makes me cringe. I understand, but like our climate is so brutal, and like the way we're building these houses so tight, you really like we're creating a mechanical house. You open the door, you just ruined all that, and then what ruining that means is mold and mildew, wood pulling off the walls, things that we don't want to see happen. That it's a tough climate. I think we might have touched on that some in the first podcast that we did.
Let's talk about fireplaces. Because I feel like when I get, most of my buyers are like, we would really like a fireplace. And when they come from off, I'm like, are you really going to use it? Maybe a couple weeks of the year. But people either are like dead set on gas logs or dead set on wood burning. What are you building more of?
Well, I'm a pyro, so I want wood burning.
You want wood burning with a gas starter, I'm sure.
I think the perfect combo, honestly, like, is probably gas inside, and if you have an opportunity for outdoor fireplace, wood burning outside, it is nice to, especially, this is not supposed to be sexist, but if the man's out of town, if the wife can just flip a switch and have fire, you know, Sarah actually, as long as I got starter logs, she does a really good job building fires.
I'm like weird about starting a fire when Spence isn't home. I get it. Yeah. I'm just like, I can never tell if the flue's open or not, and I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we do plenty of gas logs, probably more gas logs, honestly. But I think your good old redneck Southern boy like myself likes to build a fire. So we've got some of those clients too.
If you have a gas fireplace, can you make it wood burning?
You can, as long as it's got a chimney. You know, the insert fireplaces don't do as well, I would say, on wood burning. The brick liners are just not as beefy as like a fire brick. They will do it, but if you're building big hot fires, you're going to ruin those brick liners and you're going to be replacing them.
I have had, just like I have the woman who has to have the bathtub and the master bath, I have had the man that will not buy a home without a wood burning fireplace.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think it's funny what people get stuck on.
Yeah.
John, we love you, but apparently we're out of time.
Okay.
That went quickly. We might have gone over on our first one.
Yeah, we did.
So plug your, Instagram website, and you can give people your direct phone number if you want to.
Yeah. So Level Building Projects, our website is levelbuildingprojects.com. We do have an Insta page, but I'm in control of it, so it probably hasn't been updated in 2 years. My personal Insta is...
You don't even know.
Frick JE, I believe. Frick JE. But I think Levels is just Level Building Projects. You'll find us if you type it in.
Well, your website's beautiful. So
thank you.
Maybe send people there.
We've been fortunate in this market. I mean, if I lived in, I don't know, Columbia maybe, I don't know if their market, I feel very fortunate. I don't need to advertise. I don't have time to post. We're busy. I should figure out how to make a better emphasis on that, but
you don't need to.
I guess I hadn't needed to.
You're doing a good job. You're doing the referral thing. That's everybody's dream.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and y'all have given us some great referrals, and
I give your name out to people I like.
Good.
Because I don't want you to come back to me and be like, why the fuck did you give me that guy? He was awful.
It happens. I mean, we've had some tough clients, but I think at the end of the day, we all finished a project and got along, and I mean,
Well, you're so easy too. You're just laid back.
Sometimes.
On the outside, right?
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. I think there's some people that would disagree, but
you don't need them.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope I said something that somebody would want to hear.
No, I think...
I was hoping we were talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but...
We can do that on the after show.
Okay.
I think people are mostly interested in timeline and price per square foot, so we got those answered.
It takes a long time, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, it is. That's
Call
true.
John.
I kid. Nobody can do it faster or cheaper.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Check us out at Between Two Brokers and at Smith Spencer Real Estate on Instagram, and we will see you next time.